So we are back in the game room and it's time for part 2 of the pickups from Japan for the month of August. So I already covered the PlayStation games, so now it's time for the Saturn and of course the PC Engine 2. Managed to pick up some absolute belters I've been after for absolutely ages, and I've got some shooters in there too, which is always nice. And of course those gambles, some of them paid off quite nicely, and unfortunately there's a couple in there, well, yep, they're pretty poor, but interesting to play anyway. Also had a little bit of an issue with one of the games, which is a bit of a disadvantage when you're always having to import your games, but you'll see that at the end. So let's go and have a look at that nice big stack of games on the table there, and let's see what I picked up in August. So let's kick things off with a shooter and a game with many names. It is Layer Section 2 on the Saturn. This was actually released on the PlayStation 1 as Raystorm, which of course is the sequel to Ray Force, aka Galactic Attack, aka Gunlock, aka Layer Section. Told you, a lot of names. I've always covered these games in the past. I have picked up the PlayStation 1 versions of the Ray series, but I wanted to make my Saturn shooter collection complete, so I wanted to get this one too. Actually see the differences, I can't tell, to be honest with you. But if you don't know this one already, it's basically a bit of a gimmick with the 2 layers there, hence the name. The bottom layer, you sort of use your homing laser to lock on and destroy the enemy, and then you've got your standard upper level like a normal sort of shooter. Fantastic game and amazing music balanced on Tato. Next up is the Tato Chase HQ arcade pack. Finally we get a decent arcade port of the amazing Tato games Chase HQ and SCI, or Special Crime Investigation. The very poor conversions on the Master System and also the PC Engine, and finally we get arcade perfection. Such an arcade classic game. I used to love this one back in the day, and it's very similar to Outrun, the way it sort of plays, apart from the big difference here is you've got to chase after the bad guy and ram into the back of the car, bring him to a halt and arrest him, and then you've got a bit of a Miami Vice sort of cutscene because yeah, it's a bit of a Tubbs and Crockett rip-off there, but you've got to love it. I have to say I do actually prefer SCI, even though I didn't play that one back in the arcade. I only played Chase HQ. Just there's more going on, and yeah, you get to shoot all the time as well. You've got the cool little drops as well. A helicopter will come over and give you a big rocket launcher so you can just blast away at the enemy cars. If you love your arcade races and your 80s flicks, then you'll absolutely adore this one. I think Rob, the 2D champion, he sort of had this one on one of his pickups, reminded me I had to get it. Next up is another arcade racer. It is GT24. Unlike Chase HQ and SCI, I had no idea about this one in the arcade. I've never heard of it before until James from Retro Import Gamer, he showed this on one of his videos, and I noticed it's by Jellico, so I thought it's got to have a go at this one. I have no idea what's going on with this game because when I checked on Surugai, it was going for ridiculous money. I mean, ridiculous money. So I looked on eBay and it got it for a fraction of the price. I think they actually made a mistake and added an additional 0 on the actual price or something, I don't know. While you would categorize this one as an arcade racer, it does lean towards the sort of F1 simulation games. You really need to know the track inside and out on this one to do well, otherwise you will be left behind, like me in the footage. Where it really stands out is the amazing lighting effects. Of course, this is Le Mans, so you've got nice night and dawn and dusk effects. Good game, but you need to practice at it. Next up is Princess Carrara. I am not going to say the Japanese name, I'm going to save you for that one. This, of course, is by Atlas and is a spin-off of the Power Instincts games. I've covered it before actually on the Sega STV video. I do have the cart of this one. So I have double dipped a little bit on this one, but it popped up on an auction and I put a cheeky bid in and yeah, I got it. This is a cool little sort of isometric shooter stroke brawler. It's a lot of fun, but I have to say it's a bit of a short one, a bit of a novelty game, but definitely a lot of fun. You get to choose from 3 different characters. You've got the 2 apricot sisters that slightly vary on their different attacks, and then of course you've got this sort of big beastie sort of character as well, which has a little bit more strength and power. It does feel a little bit clumsy and clunky at the beginning until you get to grips of the isometric view, but once you do, it's a lot of fun, especially when you pick up the star and you sort of grow into this big giant on rollerblades and you just go and smash up the enemy. A lot of fun. Next up is a game I've been after for ages. It is Tato's Puli Ruler. This originally came out on the Tato F2 or the F1 hardware, and if you've been watching my arcade pickups, you know that I love that system. And I've been trying to get this one for years on the actual arcade PCB, but I failed and the prices are shot up, so I've given up. I'm sticking with the Saturn version. It's a cool and quirky little brawler that came out also on the PlayStation 1, but of course it's 2D, so I had to get it on the Saturn. It's probably most famous for one particular stage where you've got the lady's legs sticking out of the wall and the door in a very dubious place. But in general, the game is strange, but that level is particularly strange. I mean, what's going on with the lady on the flag as well? Very bizarre. It plays reasonably well. It's not the best brawler on the Saturn. It's a lot of fun, especially with 2-player. But I've got to say, again, its big disappointment is it's very short. So you're not getting much game for your money, and this game is not a particularly cheap game either. Definitely a game I would recommend to actually experience. You know, you've got to make round, have a few beers and actually see and experience the quirkiness of this game. But like I say, the shortness of this game, I would say get a repo, get it on emulation, but definitely try this game. Any game where the special attack has some dude popping out of a microwave is definitely worth experiencing. Those games are far too good. Let's bring you back to earth with some crap. And Kickboxing. What can I say about this one? Well, the introduction is pretty cool and the rip-off Rocky music is fantastic. That's about it. The rest of it is an absolute pile of crap. Probably the most fascinating thing about this game is they actually released it in the States. I mean, they didn't release that many titles in North America, but this one actually made it. God, what were they thinking? So this is CD based. There's quite a lot of options for the game to actually configure your boxer, and you spend lots of time to set up how you want to get your fighter, expecting a good fight, and you're left with this absolute steaming turd. The sprites are tiny, the playability is terrible, you don't know how to control your fighter, you end up kicking in the air, and when you get knocked down, you just don't want to stand up. From the steaming turd to just pure meh. It's Titan. I did pick this one up because I wanted the Naxat sort of subset on the PC Engine, and I already got a heads up actually from Eddie at Roller Core. He picked this one up and mentioned it was terrible, but I already ordered it and I would have ordered it anyway. It's kind of like an Arkanoid stroke, I guess some sort of puzzly game. The actual gameplay, it plays quite well, as in the physics of the mechanics of the ball and all the rest of it. It plays quite well, but it's just so damn boring. You've played the first couple of levels pretty easily, and after that, it's just, you're finding ways to actually die and stuff. It's just nothing to the game. Like I say, I can't say it's a bad game, but after about 5 minutes, you're going to get bored, really bored. Let's lighten things up a little bit with Rama 1.5. I really didn't know what to expect with this one. I knew a couple of the Rama games were actually fighting games, and I was hoping the best for this one, and I got a little bit of a shock when I put the disc in and played this one. The first cutscene is absolutely hilarious, But yeah, I wasn't expecting a little bit of nudity in there. As you can see, we have got a bath scene here, and yeah, fighting a dirty old man as well. I wasn't only just surprised by the hilarious cutscene, but by the actual gameplay itself. It's actually a lot of fun. It has a lot of charm and a lot of humour to the game. Of course, I don't understand the cutscenes in between, but you don't need to be honest with you. It's just simple, basic humour that is cross all boundaries and language. They added some sort of mini games in between the actual fighting levels. I'm not so sure what that's all about, but it didn't really bother me. It's all about the actual fighting, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. The gameplay just feels so fluid and intuitive, and it's nice to sort of mix it up. So for example, when you're fighting in the gymnastics level, you've got a ball to throw. They just mixed it up and made it a lot of fun. I definitely recommend this one if you can pick it up. Next up is a game that I always thought I had, so I finally realised I needed to pick it up. It's Metalstoker. I've been slowly going through all the PC Engine shooters to pick off any of the ones that I'm missing. And for some reason, I always get this one mixed up with Silent Debugger for some reason. I have no idea why. The cover's not even that similar. Well, it's not similar at all. I'm so glad I actually wised up and realised that I needed to pick this one up because it's absolutely fantastic. Such a simple shooter, but just plays so damn well. This, of course, is a top-down, multi-directional shooter. Very simple, but yeah, very enjoyable. Very similar to something like Grenada X, and I have to say, this is a bit of an underrated game. It'll probably take you a couple of levels to really get to grips with the controls, but when you do, you'll find it very fast and very fluid to control your tank. This is the perfect pick up and play game if you want a bit of quick shooting action, but it is pretty addictive. You will want to keep on coming back for more to fight the next boss. Such fun. Next up is another fun, simple shooter. It is Summer Carnival 92, Alzadik. As I mentioned before, I'm slowly picking off those shooters that I still haven't got. And I've been watching this one over the years. For some reason I've not picked it up earlier. I didn't really feel the urge because it is a Carnival game, but it has been going up in price, so I thought I'd snag it now while I still can. And I must admit I got a good price on this one on Yahoo Auction. This is of course a caravan game, so it is just quick shooting action, very short. There's only 2 actual levels to play through, which are very similar as well. It's all about the high score challenge on this one in a very short period of time. The graphics and gameplay are fantastic, and if you like compile shooters, then you'll probably feel right at home with this one, as I am. I do love my compile shooters. But the bad thing is, of course, it's a caravan game, so you'll be wanting more. You just wish that this could have been a full-blown game. It would have been amazing. So next up is Flashhiders, or is it? No, it's not. They screwed up my order. I got Sega Paint XOR for the Xbox 360. This is one of the big disadvantages of ordering online and importing your game. Sometimes they will screw up your order. I actually did order a Sega Paint on the Xbox 360, but they told me it was out of stock. So obviously they misplaced the disc in the Flashhiders box. So yes, I got 2 incomplete games. What a complete nightmare for a collector, right? Oh well, at least I did get a game. That's a plus, I guess. I did email to complain, but unfortunately 10 days had already passed by the time I got the games. So there's not a lot I can do about it really. You know, you win some, you lose some. But at least I got to play a little bit of Sega Paint, which it looks pretty good. You can see it by the footage, but I still want to get a copy of Flashhiders. Oh dear. So there you have it, that's all the games that I picked up from Japan in the month of August. Congratulations for making it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope there's a couple of games in there that might have piqued your interest, or some games you probably want to avoid. But I'll be thanking you again, and I'll see you later.